Ladies and gentlemen, settle down now, as this is the Mark's Christmas Dole. We have organised some entertainment for us tonight, and I'm very pleased to say that despite the fact that he's been dead for 32 years, he's performing here tonight. Will you welcome, please, Mr. Tommy Mini Cooper?
1955, Alberto Ascari is supposed to be racing around Monaco and suddenly turns up in the Ferrari garage. And Enzo Ferrari says to him, "What are you doing here?" And Ascari says, "There's a problem with the car." Enzo says, "What's the problem with the car?" He says, "There's water in the carburetor." Enzo says, "Where's the car?" Ascari says, "It's in the harbour."
Hello and welcome to the 2016 festive edition of Gareth Jones on Speed. He's Zog and he's back from space.
I'm down on Earth.
Yeah, nice to have you with us. He's Richard and he's back from a grand tour.
Hello.
And I'm very pleased to say he's Ted Kravitz, back from the entire world. Ted, welcome back to Gareth Jones on Speed.
Hello.
How are you?
Very nice.
Nice to have you back.
Very nice.
And
very nice to be here. I'm very well.
Good.
To answer your question.
And it's very nice to be, generally, I find.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, first of all, did you have any inkling at all that Nico was going to announce his retirement before we all heard about it?
Who? I've forgotten about it. No, I didn't. No, although there was one sort of back of the mind weird thought when we asked him, "Okay, you've won it now, well done. Are you going to have the number one on your car next year?" You know, because we think that's a cool thing to do. And he said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to answer that." And we thought, oh, that's a weird thing not to answer. It's only a question about a sticker on your car. But I didn't think of it at the time. No, it's amazing, isn't it? Astonishing.
It was perfect because it was so genuinely unexpected, came out of the blue. You can't make that sort of stuff up. It was great for the story arc of Formula One. Zog, do you remember where you were the moment you heard Nico had retired?
Yeah, I was writing about space at my desk, in fact.
In space?
Yeah, it was quite a surprise.
Do you remember your thought process?
Slightly sceptical of this because somebody told me. I immediately, obviously, checked the internet, because we know everything on the internet is true, of course, we know this.
All of it.
But yeah, I didn't quite believe it. I'm taking it back.
Richard, you must be thrilled to bits.
Well, no. Funny thing. I was sitting in a Winnebago right on the edge of Loch Ness.
You were on holiday with Ross Brawn again, were you?
Yeah. Did a bit of fishing. And it was really frustrating because everybody I work with who's interested in F1 had just seconds before left the Winnebago. I was just looking at my phone, saw the news and went, "Oh, no, don't worry," because the only people I was left in there were Richard Hammond and James May, who both aren't interested in F1 at the moment.
So you
and they sort of went,
news
"What?" And I went, "It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
That's right. No, well, I'll tell you anyway, but it won't mean anything to you. Nico Rosberg has decided to quit F1. And they both went, oh, right. Sort of feigning interest. And I had to sort of go, look, because you know he's just been made world champion. Oh, yeah, I knew that. But this is unprecedented. He's left. And one of them went, was he not going to do that then? I went, well, no, he was. That's the thing. He wasn't. No one knew. I was like,
you basically couldn't have found two well-known car culture figures who would have been less interested in that news than those two.
But I wish I could not care like them.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through a weird...
Then you'd be out of a job, Ted.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, that is true. But I've gone through a weird sort of gamut of emotions about it. Because when I first heard it, I was, astonished. And then I thought about it and I was really disappointed. And I was kind of angry with him. And then I went through... Yes, exactly. And then I went through a bit of time and I heard him talk and, very reasonable arguments. And actually, I got more and more cross with him and more disappointed the more I heard.
Because they were reasonable answers.
No, I'm still furious at him. And every time I sort of stop and then think about it, my wife and I just went away to Paris for a night to get away from the kids. And I was back on the Eurostar just peering out the window at those French power pylons that are shaped different from ours and just thinking about, weird stuff. And then I thought about Rosberg's retiring as world champion and I got angry again. It's like when you read the paper and you see President-elect Trump. Oh. And, you hadn't thought about it for a week or so or a few days and you think, oh no, did he really win it? And it's the same with Rosberg. I'm so cross with him. I'm big time let down and angry. I'm angry about it.
So do you think he could have won another championship?
Well, he should have given it a go because A, it's fun and it's a rush and they get paid and that's why they do it. And B, I mean, sorry to quote Sterling Moss, who has often said to me, apart from who are you and what are you doing in my house?
Are you here to repair the lift?
The lift!
Old boy?
Have you seen the lift? It's got a Williams badge on it. He always talks about racers, doesn't he?
Yes.
The thing about him, he's a racer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, clearly, I mean, Rosberg's not a racer, is he?
Was he
That's
doing
the
it?
thing. I've always thought that, though. He's a choker, isn't he? He chokes under pressure, and he just hasn't got that racing raw hunger
Wait,
and
but hang
fire
on
in
a
his
second,
belly.
hang on a second.
But, go on.
Well, no,
No, the case for the defence.
He did just win the World Championship.
You say he chokes under pressure, but in that last race, can you imagine being under any more pressure than having Hamilton backing you up like that, with Vettel and Verstappen right behind you, coming at you? I think in those last few races of the season, he did extraordinarily well. He just did a perfect job.
Yeah, no,
And,
fair enough. I don't know.
In three languages.
Incredible and unbelievable pressure. I'm sure he knows that he doesn't have the raw talent that Hamilton has. He was fighting a better driver in an equal car, and to be able to keep it together. Last year he cracked.
Yes, well,
Absolutely.
exactly what I mean. But this is the thing, and it's sort of come out now that he's said he's off, that he's able to admit the amount of psychological work they had to do with him, as well as all of the physical training and things. They really had to, as we can rebuild him, to make him so that he doesn't get all flustered when there's a car behind him.
Ted, you're with him 21 weekends of 52 of the year.
But,
Is he broken? Is he damaged?
No, but if he's actually crossed this Rubicon, past this psychological desert, and is actually now sorted in a place where, over the balance of 3 years, can beat Hamilton to a championship, even though his engine blew up loads of times and he had bad starts and all of that, then doesn't he want to carry that on and see, as you said, how many more he can win? And I just go back to being a racer. So, racing drivers, why do they stop, right? Why do racing drivers stop doing Formula One? Either because they're old and they're past it, either because something else happens, like their money runs out, or there's an outside influence, or they die, or are horribly injured.
Are you suggesting
Sorry
an
to put it like
outside
that.
influence, i.e. the family and his relationship with his wife?
No, but that's the three reasons racers stop. And so, what was he?
Is he the first non-racer to win a world championship?
He's the first driver to quit because he achieved that peak. He won the championship under very difficult circumstances. He proved that he could do it. I think he's earned the right to say,
Does he
bye-bye,
not-
chaps, I'm never going to top this.
Do you know what?
But
The thing is,
did he not
Which he's
enjoy it?
not.
Did he not
Well,
enjoy it?
clearly not.
I don't know,
Do you think,
but I think-
I don't think
No,
he enjoyed it.
clearly
I think he
not.
didn't. I
Well,
didn't think.
Well,
Was it not
and
fun?
That's the thing.
Was the money not
I've
good?
never
Well-
been a massive Rosberg fan, but I respect him for this more than anything he's ever done on the racetrack. Also, it's so interesting, actually. I thought this when I was sitting in the Winnebago of disinterest on the edge of Loch Ness, and thank Christ Clarkson came back in, and I was able to go, Jeremy, you won't believe what? And he was actually interested in it. And then we sat there and we went, why has he done this? Why has he done this? We went back and forth and we were talking about it. Because I was the same as you. I was a bit like, well, this is typical. What a quitter. What a big baby he is. And then it didn't take me very long on the roller coaster of emotions to arrive back at the station marked respect for you, sir, because, and I think it's partly to do with being a dad as well. If I hadn't been a dad, I think I'd have gone, for God's sake, man, pull yourself together and stop being a blouse about it. But I just suddenly thought, he wants to spend more time with his child. And as a very wise man once said to me, no one ever regrets spending time with their children. So it's one of those things where I feel like the easy option would have been to stay in. It's much harder, I think.
And he'd have
to
made a lot of money in the next couple of years, haven't you?
I equate him now to Paul Weller, who split the jam after the third album, thinking, we're not going to... Was it the third or fourth album? We've made our best work. I couldn't possibly follow it anymore. And unfortunately followed it with the Style Council, who were awful. But if Nico, we assume from this, he didn't enjoy the experience... The last Formula One driver I can think of who clearly didn't enjoy the experience was Ralph Schumacher. You knew Ralph. He could be very awkward to be with. Nico was never awkward to be with. He didn't behave as if he didn't want to be there, did he, Ted?
I think you've got to think about origins. Who wouldn't enjoy being a Formula One driver? At the very base of it, do they not do it because it's the thrill of driving and being the best in the world at what you do? And if he never really liked that, then I'm starting to think about how he got into it in the first place. And I'm wondering whether the true story is actually rather unfortunate and sad, and that it was actually a young boy felt slightly distant from his dad, who was a world champion and spoke nothing other than racing from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is something Nico has talked about before.
Is that right?
And in an attempt to get closer to his dad, wanted to follow into the family business. And I wonder whether that's the origin of it. And actually, he was never really that into it.
Well,
I can believe that. I mean,
that's
quite
I was going to
plausible.
say before, start to think that Rosberg is a bit like Damon Hill, where he's
Yeah.
sort of burdened by this,
Yeah.
oh, God, my dad was good at this.
Yeah.
I better go into the family business, knowing I'm not really enjoying this. I don't think I'm that good at it, but if I just get the right people around me,
Yeah.
I can become good at it. And then just sort of plug on. And I think that's the thing. I think even Damon would sort of admit he wasn't the greatest driver in his day, but he had the best car, and he had dedication, and he was prepared to plug away at it. And
He did it out of necessity. Damon had nothing. He built that himself, didn't he?
Well, that's true, because Graham wasn't properly insured, I think, for the plane crash.
There's
So,
no
yeah,
insurance.
he
That's
broke-
right.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
talks
they
about
were
it in his
absolutely
book.
bankrupt, weren't they?
Yeah.
Damon became a courier.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's how he became a motorcyclist.
A bike racer.
And maybe the worst thing for Rosberg was that actually, as you're right, he started karting and he turned out actually he wasn't that bad. And he was all right.
yeah,
And,
he should have just made a total hash of it.
yeah.
But the other thing, like I say, for us, we've all dreamt of being racing drivers. And wouldn't that have been fantastic? Wouldn't that have been amazing? Yeah, but if you have been in a family where your father is a racing driver, that's the day job. That's not, as you say, you have a very different take. You don't value it in the same way that we
You don't covet
fans
it,
do.
like, seeing other lads' dads who are racing drivers. Your own dad is, it's a different attitude. So, to wrap up this, we'll...
Well, if I'm still here later on in the show, I'll tell you something about how us normal people see racing drivers in relation to Rosberg. Anyway, we'll
Okay.
talk about that later.
Last question. Will F1 miss Nico?
Well, I don't know. Martin Brundle said the other day, when we get to Melbourne and we've got these new cars with the proper size rear wings and some cool looking front wings and a bit of slanted bodywork for no basic reason and properly wide tyres, everyone will have forgotten about Nico Rosberg. I thought that was slightly harsh, but actually I think he's probably right. I don't know. Will we miss him? Yeah.
Sounds like a yes.
Struggling to,
He will be
I'm
sitting
seriously struggling to answer that.
by possibly on a yacht with his daughter running around his feet, and he'll have a really big telly because he's minted, isn't he? He'll have a
I
massive
think he's done
telly.
all right. Yeah.
Watching the first race of the season as he gently sips on a glass of something crisp and cool, and I don't think he will miss it at all either.
You're right. I think you're right.
I don't know. I still,
Yeah.
for having the guts to walk away, fair play to you, Nico.
Yep.
Pop the cap off another crisp and cool one and enjoy them all struggling with those idiotically wide tyres.
I'll miss him because he's the only Formula One driver I've ever considered kissing this side of Davina Galitza. He's a good-looking lad.
He's a very pretty boy. He always has been.
There's a driver going round and round a track, and his race engineer comes on the radio. Not lie. And he says, box, box, box. And the driver says, what do you mean, box, box, box? Do you want me to come into the pits? And the engineer says, no, Muhammad Ali's just turned up in the garage. Box, box, box.
Step Central with Gareth Jones on speed!
So here we are at the dawn of a new bleak Formula One with no multilingual, beautiful blonde racing driver called Nico Rosberg there anymore. And with Mercedes perhaps suffering the greatest problem of everyone, how are they going to replace Nico? I never thought I was going to say that. Nico is quite difficult to replace at the moment because of various contracts with various people being tied up.
Yeah.
What's your guess? They're going to go for Verline? Do we know?
Well, the thing I like first of all is that suddenly racing drivers have become important again. We're kind of used to the teams having the power and saying, oh, well, I might have you or I might have you or I don't like the look of you. And now they're all hanging on to anybody thinks they've got a good driver under contract, saying, no, hands off Hulkenberg or Perez or hands off Sainz. You can't have him. My first reaction was, please, Alonso. And that's, I think, what everyone wanted. Not because of the Hamilton-Alonso battle, but just because you want to see the two best drivers, or two of the four best drivers, in the same car. I think Mercedes owe it to Formula One and owe it to us viewing to provide the best entertainment. That's what the sport is.
They're the only ones capable of
entertainment.
winning the championship, so they need two drivers capable of winning.
We need the top 5 drivers, who are Verstappen, Ricciardo, Vettel, Alonso and Hamilton, in the top 5 fastest cars. And, all right, if the 4 of them, Vettel and Ricciardo, Verstappen and Hamilton, whatever, are tied down, get Alonso, who's not going to be in championship for best bull in the world probably next year, get him in. Bernie would have got him in, and it saddens me.
So what's stopping that happen? Is McLaren just too reluctant to let him go? They're just too...
Everyone thinks they're more important than the bigger picture, which is just let's have the most entertaining racing that we've got. And so we're in a position where it's either Bottas or Wehrlein. And yay! We should probably record 2 versions of this for when people are announcing it, because it's probably going to be this week, isn't it? And now we're left with Valtteri Bottas. And now we're left with Pascal Wehrlein.
What a pro.
We should say at the point that we are recording this, we don't know what the outcome is, and it could change really quickly. Is there a deadline?
Edit your own podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just delighted that Button did accept the drive. I mean, that's terrific. I'm so glad he hasn't left the sport.
I was astonished that they brought Nigel Mansell back.
Incredible that you could take the autonomous technology from an E-Class and make it run an F1 car.
I always said they could do more with that if they just
does it chuck caps by itself?
It does actually.
Get a
Catmatic, it's called.
Catmatic 3000.
Let's look at the variables here. Let's look at the permutations and the possibilities. Right. Verline's not ready, is he? He's their backstop. They'll have Wehrlein if they have to, but they'd rather have someone else.
Yeah. Can I just raise a practical question? Is it Wehrlein or Wehrlein?
It's both in the way that some people call Vettel. Yeah, or Coulthard calls him Vettel.
Yes.
I think the Germans pronounce it Wehrlein.
Oh.
I'm only asking because I made a remark on Twitter a while ago that I wanted Wehrlein to follow Niki Lauda into opening an airline. So and that only works if you pronounce it the way I just did. If it's Wehrlein, that's an absolutely...
No, it's not. I think it's Wehrlein.
What would Bottas open then?
Welcome aboard Wehrlein Airline.
Falconry with Valtteri.
That would do it.
One of those,
Or alterations. Voltaire's alterations. That would do it, wouldn't it?
Alterations.
So Wehrlein, he scored 1 point in a manner. But
that's
he's
equivalent
only
to 50 in a Mercedes.
That's true. And he's still a kid, and he's still learning about what you need to do outside the car to be a successful Formula One driver in terms of not annoying important people.
Does he do a bit of that?
I don't know how he's managed it so quickly, but he seems to have done it.
Really?
Well, Force India had the choice of taking him and decided not to because he'd annoyed some people. I don't know what he did.
Wow.
I mean, I have personal experience of one time he was a bit like that, but I don't know if I should. Should I?
Yes, of course you should.
He's an airline seat armrest hog.
Oh, for God's sake.
That's
why he's opening his own airline, isn't it? So he can have a plane to himself.
Inexcusable.
Airline's elbow room airline.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Sharp elbows, useful in F1.
Well, that is true. Yeah, but he's a little fella, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he'd use his phone in cinemas. You know.
Oh no! I bet he voted Brexit and for Trump as well, didn't he?
You know, rusty crisp. So he scored 1 point. He's much better having another season in Sauber or somewhere else. Yeah. But Bottas is ready. Bottas is low maintenance. He won't kick up a fuss. He'll deal with any of Hamilton's, antics, shenanigans, whatever. You always get fireworks being Hamilton's teammate. And he's scored podiums. He's ready to win, and he knows what it takes, and he's consistent, and that's it. But neither are particularly exciting.
And does he speak German? He speaks English and speaks Finnish. He doesn't speak any German or French, does he, Bottas?
I don't
know. Think he does he?
I don't think so.
Because that would be, they're going to want to tick those boxes as well as can he drive an F1 car, aren't they? This is Mercedes.
Well, yeah, because I've been to Bracket, it's a bloody nightmare if you don't speak the language.
I was going to say, the job ad they placed in Autosport didn't mention German language skills. I don't think that's very high up their list of priorities for a driver.
So you put Alonso in. We're probably going to get Bottas.
We're probably going to get Wehrlein, unfortunately.
Are we?
Well, I don't know. If they give Williams free engines... then that's very difficult for Williams to turn down. But Williams are quite flush at the moment because they have got the billionaire's son, Lance Stroll, coming in.
Or could Mercedes buy out any outstanding contract for Jenson Button and put Button back into Williams, freeing up Bottas to go to Mercedes? I mean, would they entertain Button? Is Button entertaining it?
I think it probably is. I think he had set his mind on relaxing on Santa Monica Beach with Brittany.
Whichever his latest model girlfriend is,
she's
yes.
lovely,
yes.
I'm told. He set his mind on retiring, but I now wondered whether he would think, ooh, well, all right, I could do one more year.
I'm just picturing the beach. I think probably this time of year he'll be, Thailand or somewhere.
Yeah.
Bali. He's on the beach with the supermodel girlfriend. Yeah. Oh, Jensen, come in to see, and then later we will have more of the sex. And he's going, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Oh, hang on a minute, my phone's going. What? Oh, for God's sake! Oh, sorry, love, they found me a bloody drive again. He's furious about it. Yes. Oh, God.
Wouldn't it be ironic, though, if Button, as a driver who won one World Championship and is never going to win another, got an extension to his F1 career having retired as a result of another driver who won one World Championship and would never won another?
In the same team that he won the championship in
precisely.
as well. Yeah.
That
would be beautifully ironic.
Yeah. He's going back to the factory going, this door didn't used to be here. What? What have you? Oh, you've extended. Oh, right, a conservatory. Yeah, that's very nice.
They could give Williams free engines. They could give them some other driver. They give them Verline or someone who could come in. Even Scotland's Paul de Resta could come in. He's a solid point scorer, which is kind of what Williams want. Mm-hmm. Williams need an experienced guy to show the billionaire's son the ropes and not to beat the billionaire's son too often. That's kind of what they need. So, someone would do like that, and I think that would be the best option. But it looks like Williams is going to get all serious. Claire's kind of, getting serious about this and saying, oh, no, you're not having Valtteri. We need him too much. Which is interesting, because they weren't too bothered about him when they were discussing his contract.
Right.
It goes me back to the way that the balance has slightly shifted from the teams to the drivers now.
But it's like when you've got an old piece of jewellery that you might loan out to friends for a wedding, then someone says, oh, no, that's worth £250,000. Suddenly it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It changes. Yeah. He's shot up in value, hasn't he? Because he's in a position where he could fill that gap, where there aren't many other options. Oh. Hulk, then. They're not going to try and buy Hulk out of any deals. Why didn't Hulk get an even better deal than he did?
Inexplicably, it seems that everybody else, apart from all the F1 team bosses, think Hulkenberg's a really quick driver and a great bloke, apart from all the key team bosses, who seemingly have crunched some numbers and just think he's a bit rubbish.
And you would think they'd be pretty good at keeping a tab on these things.
What is it that they're not getting? Or is it the rest of us that are wrong? And he seems affable.
Yeah,
he's not going to
lovely.
walk into a room full of sponsors and say, toss rags and then run out again. He seems very professional and slick, and he's quick in a car.
I mean, he's a very good second-tier driver, I think. He's rather than that.
Oh, harsh!
But he's never going to be Hamilton, Vettel, Alonso, Ricciardo. He's not that calibre of driver.
No, he's a very nice guy.
He's a safe pair of hands, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'd lend him my hedge trimmers. And they would come back
Lend him a
immaculate.
fiver.
Yeah, I'd lend him a fiver, because he'd go, oh, he's
good
that flavour, and I go, no, don't worry about it. Forget about it, mate. It's on me. And you go, no, really, I insist. Okay, listen, I will get you a pint and a marker pen to make up the difference and some peanuts. Okay, yes, and I will write this all down so we have a record of it. I think he's quite scrupulous.
You get
Yes.
some Force India merchandise as well. It'd be good. Yeah.
Yes.
He has got a very short
smash.
attention span, though. He's got a very short
Well, he's a
attention
racing
span.
driver. I mean, surely,
Well, that's true. They
even
all
by
have.
racing driver standards, he's got a short attention span.
It's about 45 seconds. Rosberg's attention span is about a minute and a half.
Is that
So
right?
that's why I think he's going to get very bored very quickly in a winter of childcare, and he's actually going to come back.
I've mentioned this on the show before, but you were there for that rooftop barbecue thing at the Belgian Grand Prix last year when, I don't know whether you were part of the conversation, but Rosberg was ushered in as part of his promotional duties to come talk to some journo scum, and he was ushered over. We were in the middle of a conversation about 80s classic cars that are going up in value, like 205 GTIs, and we sort of didn't bother to stop talking about that, and he was sucked into our conversation, and he was very polite, and it seemed like he was paying attention.
Okay.
But it was only about a minute and a half, so that would figure.
But this goes into my aura thing that I was going to bring up. If Hamilton had come in and stood in that conversation, would you have all stopped what you were saying and say,
yes.
there's Lewis
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
And
That's
do
a
you know
really
what?
good point.
When I was interviewing, sounds terrible, I was interviewing Rosberg, but we did an extra show on the channel I work for, looking back at this very story. We did an hour of it. And I interviewed Rosberg at the industry's Oscars, the Autosport Awards.
Yes.
And while we interviewed him on the balcony, you'll know this, there's a big balcony where everyone goes, and when they've stopped minesweeping wine from other people's tables at the end of the evening, you can buy your own beer on this balcony. So we interviewed him up there, and Rosberg was sat there in his dinner jacket, and he put his legs out, he was sitting there, leaning back, the trophy was there, he was all happy, and you realise out of his fire suit, he looked very different to me. And he's very thin, obviously, as they all are. He's got tiny hips and it's quite, short legs. And I felt, as I was talking to him, I was saying, what are you going to do? Are you going to do a bit of World Endurance Championship? You're going to do some rallycross, maybe? He says, I don't know, no, I'm just going to be an ordinary guy. And at that moment, I felt his aura, all the magic that I'm used to seeing with him as just an ordinary race fan like we are. We're not racing
pictured
drivers.
him not being important.
I felt the magic disappear out the
Hmm.
bottom of his trouser leg and vanish into the air like 1,000 fireflies. And the magic...
Then did someone just walk into it? Did, I don't know, Robert Kubica just go by and walk into it and go, oh, brilliant, I'm back in the game.
I had a shower with that South American driver, Felipe Massa, the other day.
Brazilian?
I couldn't tell. He had his swimming trunks on. Gareth Jones on speed. Live.
As you know, we are sticklers for tradition here on Gareth Jones On Speed, and one of the things that's emerged as an On Speed tradition over the last few years is the Dave Stebbings Ultra Quiz. Dave Stebbings being our Ultra listener. Do you want to do the voice, Richard?
Ultra listener.
Thank you. Dave Stebbings writes a quiz which has been kept secret from me. Tycho and Violet, my son and my partner, have been working through it and have handed the questions to your quizmaster for the 2016 Dave Stebbings Ultra Quiz. Here's Edmund.
The Dave Stebbings Ultra F1 Quiz.
Feels like we need sort of a... And now, live from Norwich, it's the Dave Stebbings Christmas Quiz.
Perfect. That was it. That was the sting.
All right. Okay. Good on Dave, though. These are great questions.
We're very
Some great
DIY
questions.
here.
And it's an F1 quiz. That's
It is.
all I know, which is why you're hosting it.
Some great questions here and some good trolling of Jolyon Palmer, which you'll find out about.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Do enjoy that. I look forward to getting flustered on the radio about those.
Come on, guys.
It's 3 rounds, I believe. Is that right, Ted?
Yep, 3
Yeah.
rounds, 1 question each in each round.
Okay, so here we go.
Richard, question 1.
Which 2 drivers had the first collision of 2016? A. Rio Haryanto and Roman Grosjean. B. Danny Kvyat and Fernando Alonso. C. Fernando Alonso and Esteban Gutierrez. That one where Alonso barrel rolled into. And that was in Melbourne, of course.
So, this would have been in Melbourne, yeah. Give us the 3 again.
Rio Haryanto, Roman Grosjean, Kvyat and Alonso and Gutierrez.
Well, I stayed in the Rio Haryanto once. It's a lovely hotel. That's not a driver, so you're making that one up. But at the same time, I imagine a hotel would be quite inexperienced at the start of an F1 season. Hang on a minute, though. Was he in the first race?
I can't help you, Richard, because
Oh,
look
yeah,
at me,
'cause-
yeah. I could, but I
And
won't.
what was the second one? Alonso and...
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
No, Kvyat and Alonso.
Oh, right.
Alonso and Gutierrez. We'll have to press you for
All
answer.
right, C. It was that big one.
Hey, Joey
C.
Paxman.
Yeah.
The big one? No, apparently it wasn't. Apparently it was Haryanto and Grosjean.
Gosh.
Grosjean, really?
Earlier on, before Grosjean came back and finished
I was going to say,
sixth
because
in
he
that
did
race.
quite well.
I was
there.
going to say, yeah,
So it
that's
was
an
just a
achievement.
little dink, and then...
And he's
off
almost
he went.
ditched the bumping into other people's habit.
Exactly. He's stopped doing that. That's not his thing anymore.
Okay.
Gareth, question 1.
What is the name of the corner that follows Pouhon at Spa? That's the corner after Pouhon, which I think is a very quick double left-hander. A. Eau Rouge. B. Les Fagnes, or Fagnes as they call it in Belgium. And C. Les Combes.
Oh, well, I've been to Spa only once, and the time I was there, I have to admit, I had enjoyed the hospitality pretty extensively,
Right.
and so my memories of the sound of the cars in the forest were beautiful, but as far as the names, the layout of the circuit and the corners, give me the options again.
Well, this is quite an easy one through the process of elimination.
Right,
So,
yeah.
What's the name of the corner that follows Pouhon at Spa? So you know Pouhon's kind of in the middle. So A is Eau Rouge, and you know that's kind of at the start.
That's at the end, yeah. Don't help me here, yeah, help me.
B Fagnes,
Yeah.
or Fagnes, and C Les Combes.
I think it's a Les Combes.
It's Fagno. Oh! It's Fagno. Sorry about that.
My Belgian geography is rubbish, isn't it?
Les Combes is the one at the end of the Kemmel Straight, after Eau Rouge, then there's the straight, then there's the Les Combes chicane.
Yeah.
Chicane. All right.
Zog, question 1.
Mercedes drivers claimed almost all of the wins and pole positions in 2016, but how many other drivers claimed fastest laps? Wow.
How many other drivers got fastest
Yep,
laps?
so was it 4 other drivers got fastest laps in some races, B, 7 other drivers, or C, 3 other drivers got some fastest laps?
4, 7 or 3. What's your reasoning, Z?
I just think that between Mercedes having the fastest car this year, so significantly, and between Verstappen, Vettel and Ricciardo, presumably being the 3 that would have got fastest laps, then I think maybe lots
Yeah, but fastest laps are funny things, you know. Yeah,
Okay,
can do it at the end.
I
you can do it at the end.
I can
Stick
see
a
that
new set of
point
tyres
fading
on.
away.
Stick a new set of tyres on, and it can mean absolutely nothing. Alonso got a fastest lap, didn't he?
I
Did it
said
for a
that-
lap.
In a Honda powered.
In a Honda
That's true.
powered
God.
at Monza.
Yeah,
Come on.
Monza.
For a laugh.
Total break failure. We're quite happy.
I'm sure it's 4 or 3, but between 4 and 3, this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go 4. 3. 3. 3. 3.
By 4, you mean 3?
And that's my final answer.
It's 7.
It's 7.
Wow!
No way.
Yeah, Rosberg, Ricciardo, Lewis, Vettel, Hulkenberg got fastest lap in China. Kvyat in Spain.
That can't be true.
Apparently so. Kimi in Hungary, Alonso in Monza, as we said, and Verstappen in Brazil.
The end of the first round, the scores, according to Adrian Newey-Bot, are Richard, 0, Zach, 0, Gareth, 1. I'm the finest brain in science and they are using me to calculate scores. Would you believe it?
Round 2!
Zog, question 2.
In which 2 races of the season did everybody finish the race, including Rio Haryanto? No, hang on, he dropped out halfway through. Pascal Wehrlein. Including Nico Rosberg before he decided that he really doesn't like this kind of thing and would rather be running an ice cream shop in Ibiza with his wife.
2 races in which everybody
In which
finished.
2 races, there are 2 races in which everybody finished the race.
Oh, crikey.
A, Mexico and Brazil, B, China and Japan, or C, China and Canada.
Okay, well, give me the options again.
A, Mexico and Brazil,
Yep.
B, China and Japan, or C, China and Canada.
So is it the South American option, the Asian option,
Yep.
or the
C,
combo?
C, China and Canada.
No, it's China and Japan, apparently.
Don't push too hard your dreams of China and Japan.
I knew Brazil couldn't. That's good, very good.
Gareth, question 3.
Which 2 drivers finished every race of the season, e.g. were classified finishers? So there are only 2 drivers which finished every race, didn't know that. A, Magnussen and Gutierrez, B, Massa and Ricciardo, or C, Perez and Ricciardo.
I find it hard to believe that Gutierrez finished any race this season, quite frankly, for a multiple of reasons. So I'm going to eliminate that one. Is that A, B, or C? The one with Gutierrez in it?
That's A. Cross that out because Magnussen stacked it into a Rouge at this point.
Yeah, okay, that's gone. He's helping me again.
I know he's helping me.
Sorry.
I know one of these is not possible as well. So
Oh, hold on. And,
Well, then hang
and the
on.
other 2 options are...
Well, B, Massa and Ricciardo. And obviously that's not possible. Come on, everyone knows that.
Yeah, it's true.
He did that ridiculous thing, that soap opera where everyone applauded him for crashing his car into the wall in Brazil.
That's true, that's
And, all right, I have ice in my heart. But I was the only person in the world standing there. Why are you clapping him?
Oh, cruel. And the remaining option of the 2 drivers who finished every race, not Magnussen, not Grosjean, it was the other 2 who are...
Perez and Ricciardo.
It was Perez and Ricciardo. Yay! I got a point!
Am I so heartless about the Massa thing?
No,
I am heartless.
as I've always said, Ted, you're very realistic.
I would have normally ripped the out of him for everything, but then I saw him going and hugging his children, and I was just like, oh god.
Hang on, the cat is
Richard
also
Porter,
crying. We've got
dad
to let the cat
speaking.
in.
Yeah, I know, it really is.
The dad thing is getting to you.
Yes.
Definitely.
Come in and be quiet.
It's that
If that had been his last race, I would have felt a bit more tearful about it. But then he went and twatted around and didn't do anything in particular in Abu Dhabi either.
Yeah.
well, Yes, but twatting around not doing anything in particular is
kind of
that's
what
his stock in trade, isn't it?
But what a lovely man. What a really lovely man.
Oh, yeah, lovely man. Yeah,
Lovely man.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's more important. Not in Formula One.
Richard, question 2.
How many drivers, Richard, missed races in 2016? Now, this means how many didn't actually start the race, right? Rather than just woke up late after a heavy night.
That's just Kimmy.
With A, 3 drivers, B, 5 drivers, or C, 6 drivers didn't
Now,
actually
missed
start the race.
doesn't mean that suddenly lost their seat.
No.
Just
They had a seat.
Couldn't start
but
the
they
race.
Couldn't start the race, yeah.
I can help you here. Did anyone have any concussion or
Yep.
were there accidents in practice?
You had to sit one out. Alonso.
Yeah.
Because Stoffel Van Dorn, the cartoon cat, stood in for him. But who else sat something out?
No, they were all ready to go, but for the rest of them, the car conked out.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant couldn't compete from the off.
No.
Sorry, lads.
No, sorry if I didn't
note
make
from my
that.
mum.
No. They missed a race. They couldn't even start. They were a DNS.
Oh.
Did not start. So Alonso and Bahrain, you got one.
I'm going to go 3.
It's 5.
Damn!
Wow!
Sorry. Kvyat in Australia. Can't remember what happened there. Car just broke down. Palmer in Bahrain. Come on, lads.
Oh, guys.
Guys, come on.
Guys.
Honestly.
The trouble is, there were 87 races in this season. And unless you're there, they tend to blur.
Yeah, that's true. Alonso in Bahrain, which you got. Vettel in Bahrain.
Did he?
Yep. Yeah, honestly. And Grosjean in Singapore and Brazil.
At the end of the second round, the scores, according to Adrian Newey-Bott, are Zach 0, Richard 0, Gareth 1. Good job, I'm got a brain the size of a planet, isn't it? I mean, those are really difficult numbers to calculate, aren't they? Puny humans.
Final decider. Come on, lads.
Round 3!
Gareth, question 2.
How many podiums did Sergio Perez achieve in 2016? A, 1. B, 2. C, 3. How many times did you see that lovely, smiley Mexican face up on the podium with the not champagne and the filling his fire suit nicely?
Yep. And the options are 1, 2 and 3?
Yeah, 1, 2 and 3.
1, 2 and 3. I think I remember him being on the podium twice.
Is the correct answer.
Yeah!
In Russia and Monaco. Next one.
Alzheimer's.
Next one.
Zog, question 2.
Which race did Daniel Ricciardo win in 2016? Was it A, Malaysia, B, Spain, or C, Belgium?
It was Malaysia.
It was Malaysia.
Oh!
Very good.
So if Richard gets this question right... Oh, I'm still leading though, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And the final question.
Richard, question 3. Final question.
Which 2 drivers had the last collision of 2016? Was it Jolyon Palmer and Jenson Button, Romain Grosjean and Max Verstappen, or Jolyon Palmer and Carlos Sainz?
I don't know, so I'm going to say C, because it involves Jolyon Palmer.
Is the correct answer.
Oh!
Palmer and Sainz.
Oh.
Good strategy.
Came together in Abu Dhabi. Palmer had Sainz off, but then later apologised, so it was all okay.
Guys, come on.
At the end of the final round, Zach scored 1 point, Richard scored 1 point, and Gareth scored 2 points. Gareth Jones is the winner of the 2016 Dave Stebbings F1 Outdoor Quiz. I demand a recount.
Yay! I won something! Unlike Lewis Hamilton. No, to be fair, he should have won this year, shouldn't he, Ted?
Yeah.
Whose fault was it that he didn't win?
It was something or someone, as he said, doesn't want me to win this year's World Championship. Well, it's the fault of a big end bearing, probably called Simon. It was got very hot. Yeah, and the fault, yes.
Happens, stuff breaks.
Probably.
You get some bad breaks, and
Nico wins the championship.
Yeah.
Many thanks to Ted Kravitz for being our host in the Dave Stebbings Ultra Quiz, and huge thanks to Dave Stebbings for the 2016 Ultra Quiz.
The Dave Stebbings Ultra F1 quiz.
I was talking to Frank Williams a few years ago. He said, I've signed a new driver with a funny last name. I said, what is he? He said, Robert Kubica. I said, what? He said, Robert Kubica. Robert Kubica? That is a funny name. Pole? He said, I don't know. He hasn't even driven the car in testing yet. Gareth Jones on speed. Just laugh.
Twas the night before Christmas, and all was in silence. Apart from the house of a Dutch F1 pilot, something magical was about to happen in the home of Jos and his son Max Verstappen.
Max, go to bed.
Oh, but Dad, you said I could stay up to watch Newsround.
No, Max. It's Christmas Day tomorrow.
Dad!
Go to bed.
And so it transpired that Max went to bed, though actually he watched YouTube on his phone instead.
This is totally great! An hilarious video of me overtaking everyone at the Brazilian Grand Prix!
But just as he started to feel sleepy, he saw something. It couldn't be. Riding his sleigh right outside the window, the man known to Max as Papa Ho Ho. With a whoosh and a tingle and a modicum of surprise, Santa's sleigh landed on Verstappen's front drive.
Wow! This is ongelooflijk! The father of Christmas himself! Alright, young man, it's Christmas! Wait, you're not Father Christmas. You're not the holder out of the sleigh. That's right, son. Santa's on strike. It's like the 1970s again. Bloody great. So I've stepped in. But listen, I've got a problem. Everyone's leaving glasses of sherry out for me to drink, and I can't drink them all and drive the sleigh. It's not actually the 1970s. Can you help me, son? What, drink 11 billion sherries in one night whilst the parents are sleeping? Well, I am a teenager, yeah. No, you soft lad, I mean drive the sleigh. Yes, but of course. But why me? Because it's cold out there and you're icing slippery conditions.
After a smoke and a pancake, the sleigh left the ground. A magical sight and an unusual sound. They took off like a rocket to the sound of rock and roll. This was quite normal, with Nodrus Santa and Max in control.
Very good, Max out, son. You've got the hang of this. Yes, but I'd be an awful lot quicker if Sebastian Vettel wasn't ahead of us.
There's nothing that Max hates more than having Vettel in front, as Verstappen himself says.
I'm quicker than that. Concentrate, Max. Look, Vettel's doing a last-minute run to Toys R Us for some late present buying. Don't worry, hold the class. I'll take him around the outside.
Oh, come on, Charlie. Tell him to f*** off. Honestly.
But Vettel hates Verstappen and his incredible nerve, so he began driving just like him and decided to swerve. And so, with the motto, have 4 championships will travel, Sebastian punted Max off into the gravel.
Oh, look what you've done, Max. We're off the circuit. We'll never get all the presents delivered before dawn now. Nah, this is no problem, Santa Nod. The gravel trap has been tarmacked over, so I can simply drive the sleigh back on track.
And so, with a foot on the pedal and a squeal from the skids, the magical sleigh continued taking presents to kids. And with Christmas morning approaching the inevitable dawn, they dropped their very last present to Stoffel van Dorn.
Oh, wait. Before I give this present, I want to check it's not better than mine. No, Max, you're not allowed to unwrap presents. No, I just need to see who it's from. What do you mean? If it says, to Stoffel with love, McLaren Honda, I know it will definitely be shit.
So Max and Nod braced themselves against the cold and sleigh'd their way to meet Santa in his base at the pole.
Ho, ho, ho! Everybody in, lads. Management have agreed to our demands. Oh, hello, you two. Oh, well done, Noddy. And well done to you, young man. Since I'm back on duty, tell me now, what would you like for Christmas?
Oh, that's easy. All I want for Christmas is some speed, Santa. And by that, I mean a contract to drive for Mercedes F1.
Ho, ho, ho! Oh, dear boy, I can do miracles. But contract law, that's going to take a little longer.
Hello?
Hello, Max. This is Toto Wolf. We want you to come and drive for us.
Oh man, this is totally amazeballs. I can't believe it. This is the best Christmas ever.
Max, wake up. It's Christmas morning. You slept late.
But I was with Noddy Holder and the real Santa, and Toto Wolf offered me a Mercedes drive.
I think that was a dream, son. Come downstairs and open your presents.
And so young Verstappen, filled with gloom, trudged downstairs, like Dad said, to the living room. And there, by the presents and bottles of booze, was a top hat made of mirrors and a pair of red platform shoes.
What? It was true after all?
No, son. Your mother and I went to a 1970s fancy dress party in Utrecht last night. It was great fun and the perfect way to end 2010.
2010?
Yes, don't you remember? Last year, your Christmas wish was to travel back to when Red Bull was the best.
But...
That's right, you have the best car. Well, you and your teammate...
Hello, Max. It's me, honestly.
Oh, no, not him.
Yes, it's Sebastian Vettel. Hey, come on, he's not bad for number 2.
So our story now ends, but one thing you should know. Dreams can become nightmares. Just ask Alonso.
Gareth Jones on Speed.
And that's it. We are approaching the end of the 2016 Gareth Jones on Speed Festive Special. And I should point out that Ted has brought a bottle of actual Formula One champagne round for us to celebrate the end of this season and the start of the next. Here it goes. I promise you this is real.
Hey.
Oh, I was expecting it to squirt everywhere.
Yeah, well, there's a very good reason for that, because it's not champagne, is it?
What is it then?
It's
Chandon... But not Moet in Chandon.
No, it's sparkling wine.
Sparkling, not actually
They're not
champagne.
allowed to say, because it's from Argentina, they're not allowed to say, you know Bob Constantinos?
Yes.
The announcer is not allowed to say, champagne!
Oh, really? He's banned under the Trace Description Act?
Yeah, now has to shout,
Sparkling wine!
No! That's ridiculous.
Unbranded fizzy beverage! Of an alcoholic nature!
And do they have to say rosewater when they're in Bahrain?
This is the guy who has the fader with the just puts it up so that no one can hear.
Actually hear what he says.
No, I think to be fair, he does now shout, you're not going to like this. Celebration!
Oh. Hang on, don't Quality Street sue him for that? Isn't that a rival chocolate brand or something? Yeah. Ted, thank you very much for joining us for the end of the year. Appreciate that. Yes. I want to ask us, actually, as we end this F1 season and this series, not season, of Gareth Jones on Speed, Richard, thank you. What is it that we hope for next year? Zog, what do you want from next year?
A less year than 2016.
Oh.
Just a lot of stuff has happened this year that has frankly depressed me and confused me and hasn't been the way I would like things to have gone. And I'd like us all to get on better and move forward together and all have a better year.
Are you talking about the Star Wars movie? Is that what you...
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a good teammate for Lewis.
Smart one. Ted, how about you?
Yes, no, it's a good point. There's some cool people could stop dying.
That was a rotten year for death. Yeah.
In motorsport, I guess, to reduce the power of the engineers who sit in front of laptops and say, right, if you drive like this to this prescribed lap time, then we will win the race. Ha ha ha. And then they do, and it's boring. And if we can reduce the power of the engineers, because engineers are ruining Formula One, then that would be cool. And generally, I don't know, I think the autonomous cars, if everyone could just decide that that was kind of a rubbish 2016 thing, and we're not going to do that anymore, and autonomous cars could just be abandoned quietly.
You're the opposite of Trump, aren't you? You're the opposite of Brexit, I've just realised, because what you want is not take back control, it's give back control to the drivers.
Did you see there was a very good article in Viz recently? Autonomous cars, the future, when it said, in the future, automatic cars will sense when there is a temporary traffic light on a country road and will judge how many cars are in front of you, and when it turns to red, if the number is more than 5 and less than 8, it will follow all of those cars past the red light, just slip through before the
I like that sort of software.
I haven't retold it very well, but it was just a brilliant piece on how autonomous cars are going to end up with all the bad driving habits of humans.
What do I want from next year in motorsport? Actually, I quite like another manufacturer at Le Mans, now that we've lost Audi, but I don't think we're going to get that this year, are we? It's a shame. But what I want from F1 is for Manor to give up. I used to love that team when it was Virgin, and even when it was Marussia, I quite liked it in that sort of Russian agit-pop sort of way that they were. They were doing their own thing. And even when it was proper Manor, I cared, but it's not proper Manor anymore. I don't know what it is anymore. So what I suggest is that Lotus come back from the dead for the 23rd time and rebrand that team Lotus. Why not? They've been every other bloody team on the grid, haven't they?
It'd be good, but if we can go back to a proper Lotus, where they're very fast but extremely fragile and run by the aristocracy. That wasn't class.
Richard, how about your hopes for 2016?
I'd like it if Toto had returned my bloody call.
You've asked him for a drive, haven't you?
Maybe. And what would I like? I just want it to be more interesting. I want some proper racing. And I want you, Ted Kravitz, to go around the pit, since you have access, slamming those laptops shut during a race. Just go, oh, hi, how's it going? Boom!
Yes.
Look at your data
run
now.
away really quickly.
You bore. Yeah. So that would be good. Just a bit more a lively, more evenly matched season. I'm not sure we're going to get it, but hey. And then in road cars, I don't know. I think it's going to be quite a quiet year, because I think that everybody's going to go bananas in 2018, 2019 with all their new electric cars. And there will be autonomy coming as well. And I'm afraid I disagree with you. I can't wait for autonomous cars. Well, because there's so many drivers on the road, just take driving away from them. They're clearly not enjoying it. We're not enjoying having to drive around them, making a hash of it, sitting in the wrong lane, wipers on the wrong speed, leaving their indicator on long after they've done whatever they're doing, or not indicating when they're doing some manoeuvre that requires it. Things like that. Just stop these people getting it wrong. Let the car do it. I mean, the technology will get to a point where I think the technology is actually already at a point. The technology is crap, but so are a lot of drivers. So we're sort of
still
level
pegging.
Give it a couple of years, the technology will be better, and that's fine. And quite honestly, a lot of the time I have to crawl around the North Circular Road in London, which anyone who's ever driven on it knows that it's abject misery, and I have to do that to get from where I live to where I'm working a lot of the time at the moment. I'd happily, sit back, read a newspaper, look at my emails, do whatever it takes to not be driving, because it's not fun driving, as long as we can still have the fun driving that we love as people who like cars and motorsports.
Leave it to enthusiasts. Let the
exactly. Jay Leno once made a very good point when I worked on Top Gear. We did a thing with James May and Jay Leno, and Jay Leno said that what saved the horse was the car, because the horse was able to become, the horse as a sort of a human possession, was able to become a hobby rather than necessity. And that saved the horse's life from misery. The car will be saved by autonomous cars and whatever else is coming in the future. And you can still, as a friend of mine has just done, go and buy a Caterham 7 and bloody love it.
Yeah. The future is bright. The future is autonomous. You've been listening to the 12th series of Gareth Jones on Speed. He was Zog.
Goodbye.
He was Ted Kravitz.
Ta-da.
He was Richard Porter.
Goodbye. Oh, Zog.
What?
We haven't put up the unadorned aluminium pole and talked about the feats of strength.
We have a chance, however. Yeah, feats of strength. Straight after this, get the pole out. Yeah, get the
list of grievances.
Happy Festivus, one and all.
Yes, happy Hanukkah, Ted Kravitz, and happy podcast future listeners. I was Gareth. See you for the first episode of the 13th season of Gareth Jones on Speed, which will appear just after Christmas, and I can guarantee that episode is an absolute doozy. It's already recorded. Actually, the truth is, it's not a Duesenberg at all. It's a Rolls Royce. choice. But for now, cheers, y'all. And of course, Merry Christmas from Gareth Jones on Speed. See ya.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed. Just like that.